What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis here, your host of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for the UBL Season 3 Week 4 battle versus Ultraplayer and his team be the West Virginia Miniors. His YouTube channel link will be down below in the description, so make sure to check him out. Very solid Draft League player in his own right, very well liked person in Draft League community too, more importantly, and he is sitting as an undefeated team so far up until this point, so we have to do something that none of his prior opponents have been able to do so far, and we really need to do that. Honestly, we are sitting at 1-2 and +0 differential, which is a start that I'm definitely not accustomed to in my Draft League career, but the previous time that I had this kind of stuff was about 2 years ago in a UBC Season 5, and in case you don't know, that was the season that I did win a championship, so I'm kind of hoping that's a good fortune for me having a rough start here. Obviously not something that you want to do to yourself, but it's just what has happened so far, and hopefully we can turn it around for ourselves and make a proper push for the playoff spot, which is the main goal right now by the end of the regular season. The team of 6 that I'm gonna be bringing are going to be Megagallade, Scizor, Moltres, Piloswine, Alola, and Celebi. Megagallade being a Sword Dance 3 attacks, Scizor is Metal Coat, Defogging set just dual stab with Bullet Punch and U-turn. Moltres is gonna be Choice Scarf, Piloswine is a standard set with regards to its moves, Alola the same thing, just having Crunch over Knockoff, and Celebi is having a ring target as its item, and it has Trick on it. If you want to know more in depth about this team in itself, and not just a quick preview that I gave you just now, and you want to know more in depth and what it's all about and what is the game plan going to it, the spreads and the movesets and all that good stuff, the team builder video has been uploaded prior to this one. It should be right about now popping on the top right hand corner, so if you want to go and check out them more in depth that I gave you right now, please go and check it out. I did make a separate video just dedicated for that kind of stuff, and also see my opponent's full draft in itself and how I kind of felt about it and the matchup in itself and how I tried to beat it regards to team building aspects. So getting all that out of the way, now I have to explain for very last thing about the fact that we have a showdown replay. The reason for showdown replay that for this battle itself is that we actually had a disconnect in our actual Wi-Fi battle that we were having, and because of the issues that Ultraplayer already had prior to going to that Wi-Fi battle, and we had a little bit of holdout until he got his things going for him. After the disconnect happened on his end, we decided, okay, let's go on showdown, get this over with, and then we get it out of our hair and not spend even more time that we already did just to get this battle done on the day that we are great of doing it. So unfortunately that's the case. Hopefully you don't mind it too much. I know Wi-Fi's look way better than showdown, and honestly that's one of the biggest reasons I want to always have them on Wi-Fi, and I'm part of this league, but that's just one of the yin and yangs about being part of the Wi-Fi league. Sometimes you have to resort on the showdown on the worst case scenarios, and that's the scenario here for us, and knock on wood, we don't have to rely on this anymore throughout the season. But now let's jump into the battle in itself. I'm gonna be leading off with my Scizor, considering that it felt like the most safest lead versus the most likely leads that he would have, and I can also scout properly any kind of fire coverage that some of the mons could be carrying versus it on this matchup in itself, including Person, which does get access to potential Technician as its ability. Not that I expect it to be likely case, but I did want to scout that just in case and swap into my Moltres if he had any kind of fire coverage. If he went for a U-turn or parting shot, I can always U-turn myself out, and because he went for the U-turn and went into Tentacruel, I'm just gonna U-turn on this thing and go into my Celebi, which is sort of like a dedicated check to this thing as a switching, and I can start pressuring it and hopefully luring the Celesteela, which is my ring target in itself, to be able to trick that item to it, because how I explained it on the team builder, hint hint, wink wink. If you want to know why I did that, make sure to check it out if you're not familiar with that item, cause it's a very unused item and something that I'm really proud of that hopefully I can showcase here. But He went into his person here because I had to go for 2 consistent recovers, because my first recover, actually what I went for, was an headbutt in the battle in itself, but I missed it, and afterwards that I went for the recover on the actual battle, but because I missed that Zen headbutt, we wanted to make sure that it's recreated as it happened, so I have to make sure that I didn't do damage on the tentacle besides the U-turn, but the Celebi would also remain fully healthy like it did, so we had to play those a little bit awkwardly. Here he brought his Mega Scepter in on my Scissor. I made a double, scouting hit about fire, and then he went into his Celesteela. So we are making a little bit swapping plays over here. And now we actually settle on making some sort of a attacking move or supporting move. And he went for the lead seed with Celesteela. I kinda expected that to be his first choice. So that's why I pulled the trigger on Celebi. And then I tried to pull up my trump card already. Kinda thinking that he has no reason to swap out, but he does. Maybe expecting me go for rocks and he wants to change or exchange the stealth rocks, or he has some sort of idea that I would run Thunder Wave or whatever on the Celebi. So either way, what was his mindset? He did swap into Mesprit. I got his Cloverberry, and that thing is green targeted, meaning that it's grounded right now, but that wasn't really the main purpose for that thing. I wanted that Celesteela to be ring targeted, so my Pilus one can hit it with a Earthquake and being a super effective hit, but that wasn't the case here. And now I was able to get the Scissor in versus the Mesprit as he got the rocks up. I defogged them away, he went to his Celesteela, I make the Celebi play, he went for the Flamethrower, and then I swap into my Moltres. I really apologize, there are a lot of swaps in this game, but it's really about positioning right now throughout this battle, so I can position myself properly to this point that Tentacruel is forced to come in, as I can go U-turn and then bring my Mega Gallade in on this point. And this is what I really plan to do eventually, that I bring my Mega Gallade versus a Tentacruel that he wants to save for my Moltres, and now I can go for this Sword Dance expecting him to swap out. I already know that it even doesn't have Scald, so I don't have to worry about a burn, so I can go for this Sword Dance, and I have the Axe Scissor to hit this Mesprit super effectively, and he might be fearing a potential knockoff, which he might be doing and making this kind of swap into Alola person, but because I have Axe Scissor to hit them both super effectively, that Alola person gets obliterated. That was actually a roll, but I definitely take it. Every single time we did this recreation, we actually had to do it like 3 times. I always got the roll, so it didn't change how the actual battle turned out in itself, that do I get the roll or not. And here the Celesteela comes in, and I can go for 2 consistent Drain Punch over here. The bells are ringing. It's gonna be meaning that the Celesteela has to go down at this point, and my Mega Gallade gets the kill on the Celesteela. So 2 mons are down, being the Alola person and Celesteela up until this point. And now he's gonna be bringing his Tentacruel, and I'm like, why did he bring this thing in? I guess he needs some chip damage, but I don't know what happened here, honestly. Like, I outsped it, like, it seems normal, but in the actual battle, he outsped me. So we had the same exact speed tiers hit it with our spreads, because I'm running Adamant Mega Gallade with some speed investment. So we hit the exact same speed tier mark, and because he won the speed tie on the actual battle, we have to make this so many times in a point that, okay, we have to make sure that he gets the chip damage like he was supposed to do. And that's why I have to go for a awkward Sword Dance play here and allow him to go for that Hidden Power Fire, which is basically a hit from a Tentacruel with a Surf. So that is why that happened over there. And now I just go into my Celebi, pivoting around this Mega Scepter, expecting the last move being the Rock Slide. But he ends up having Axe Scissor, which I was somewhat expecting it to have. But consider that he already had Hidden Power Fire, Earthquake, I would assume like a Grass Stab, like Leaf Blade at this point. I really thought the last move would be Rock Slide, considering how big of a threat Moltres is. And that's why I went into my Celebi honestly at first, and it was most expendable and didn't want to risk Moltres on that case. But he was able to pick up my Celebi, meaning that I lost my first mon, but we are still sitting in a very solid position at this point. and now that the Mesprit came in on the air slash from my Moltres, he was able to knock off my Scizor's metal coat, and this is where the battle actually starts to going after the disconnect on the showdown itself. So now we don't have to worry about any more of recreating. And at this point, he's gonna be trying to get his stealth rocks up. I went for the bullet punch because I knew he wasn't in a range of U-turn. And if he decides to get these rocks up, I went for the U-turn regardless because I just wanted to get the kill at that point. And funnily enough, he actually tried to predict probably me defogging and tried to go into Mega Sceptile to make something happen. But I get the U-turn off on that thing and it got obliterated. Meaning that once that Mega Sceptile went down, Matthews, the Mega Gallade, can actually clean out the game unless the Porygon sees Choice Scarf, which I have no idea until it shows up. That is the biggest threat that he brought versus me, to be completely honest, besides the Celesteela, because I don't have any idea what it could potentially be doing, and that thing is a huge nuke with a C move, which it probably was because it was in Choice Scarf, so we are able to outspeed it and kill it and close out the game in 5-4 fashion. So that was the game in itself. A lot of swaps back and forth, and it was very hard for me to really narrate in itself without pausing the replay, which I didn't want to avoid to do. So my apologies in that regard besides the showdown replay. But besides that, the battle was somewhat winnable for me for sure, in a way that once I saw the team of 6 that he brought, I was very comfortable with the team of 6 that I built it and brought versus him. I saw the opening with Mega Gallade to be able to re-break through his team, and depending on his way to really revenge kill me, Mega Gallade could have easily swept him if I was able to even keep the health on it even better and won the actual speed tie versus the Tentacruel on the original battle, or just had a little bit more speed on it honestly, and not just go so minimally on the speed creeps that I did. But either way, I felt like as I played this match properly, going to it, I feel like I had a good chance of winning it like I end up doing. So good game to Ultraplayer. I think this battle definitely doesn't showcase how good of a player he is. There's a good reason why he was undefeated so far. Sometimes this just happens in traffic format when you go up against a good opponent, and I guess I can call myself a good opponent to him. Sometimes when the good opponent can come up with a very strong game plan and they can just hands hold go into the matchup and go and be like, okay, this is my game, this is how I want to execute my game plan, and just goes out and do it. That's how I felt like I did this one. I really feel happy how I played this game. Barring the one play with Celebi, I guess, was one thing that I probably could have swapped into Moltres, to be not expecting him to go for Rock Slide on that turn, but I played it very safe and assuming that it didn't have the Accessor. That was the only play that I regretted on a hindsight, but other than that, I'm very happy how I played. The build worked out like really beautifully, honestly, like I wanted to. Finally, the team worked out like I visioned it to be, and not the way it went on first a couple of weeks prior to this one, where I felt like I brought the proper team but I didn't execute it. Now I did what I was supposed to do with the team, and I can showcase what I can actually do and what I feel like a lot of people would expect out of me, including myself. I would expect myself to really showcase what I can do over here. But either way, that is going to be the game in itself. Make sure to check out my opponent being Ultraplayer from his point of view and his future trophy content regards to the UBL. Very solid guy for sure, someone who you can learn from if you're getting more into trophy format in itself, or you're a experienced player yourself. Definitely worth to check him out. But until next week, when we go up against Skyrander, who actually got promoted from D-League after taking over for Gods of the God. Until that battle, which is gonna be for sure hype. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you are new. And until next time and next week, I'm gonna be seeing you guys. Later.